Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 63 of the Beacon Serenity podcast. I am one of your hosts, emallson, and as always, I am joined by my co host and senior Star Destroyer architect, Anomoly.
Hello.
And this week, we are going to be talking about the things that we think might maybe speculate showing up in patch 9.1, which the PTR we incorrectly stated last week. We incorrectly stated the PTR is going to be up this week. That would be because we both misread the announcement. The announcement actually said it's coming out next week. So next week is going to be really busy for us because we are. But also that means that our show topic for today got a little bit confused at the very last minute.
Yes.
Anam, your cam got really blurry all of a sudden.
I know. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me do something.
Focus on your Star Destroyer. There he goes.
Oh, so my entire PC just crashed. So I'm not gonna.
You said you just got a new PC, right?
I did, yes, and that it's not good.
No, nope, it's not.
So,
It's still blurry.
yeah. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can change the focus on it real quick. It might be frozen. 1 second. I want to reset this. Oh god, this episode. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Love them. The start.
Okay then. I don't know where you crashed.
You had just said my name and I waved, and
So
that was
hang on.
it.
Before we proceed with the episode, I need you to wave at the camera again. All right, we're good.
I think we're okay here.
I think we're okay. So, today's episode is going to be on our speculation about the patch 9.0 or 9.1 that we incorrectly stated last week that the PTR for 9.1 was out this week. Out next week.
Like a week off. Or just a week off.
We were within 1 week
Exactly.
of the correct date. But that means that our planned episode for today, which was going to be on the 9.1 PTR, cannot be on the 9.1 PTR.
It's slightly difficult to do that type of episode, I would say.
Yeah. We could just post the episode a week late.
That's an option, but we still have to record this one, right? So like we could record our speculation and then actually do it. That's weird. That'd be weird. We need like a time travel device. It would be difficult. I'm working on one, but not done yet.
Yeah.
So.
Is it gonna go there on the table next to your Star Destroyer?
Yeah, well, it's this, and then I have a model DeLorean somewhere back here that will sort of mesh together. Yeah, it'll be real cool. It'll be real cool. So
nice.
Yeah. But awesome. Yeah. So that was supposed to be the episode. I think we both screwed that one up, but
I guess we both misread that patch date.
Yes. But at least I think we'll do some speculation tonight. I'm actually probably gonna take notes as we do this. So that way we can sort of like
next week.
See how we did, yeah. See how we did next week. So
that's just turn out the speculation episode we will probably ever have.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think first up we have basically last week's sort of news, things that happened.
Yep.
So not too much here. This will probably be a pretty quick one, but we basically have sort of first up we have Preach put out a video, sort of just going over sort of his thoughts about World of Warcraft, like the open world, like some of the problems it has.
So the video is actually on the catch-up systems.
Yeah.
But he goes on this really extended and detailed discussion of the problems with their open world design.
Mm-hmm.
Because as part of doing the catch-up for a new character, you have to go and do the campaign, and you got to do stuff out in the world to catch up the character. And he had some really insightful comments on it. I have not been a fan of the way that world content in WoW works for a while. Like, it got really, really unbelievably bad for a while. It is better now than it was 3 years ago, but it still can't hold a candle to Classic, and that's saying something because Classic is how the game was 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think his comment, right, was the whole like it seems like their open world content is meant to be done while you're doing something else, right? Whether that's like watching Netflix or, just have it on like your second monitor and you're sort of going through the motions, right? And um I think it's funny. I feel like this has been like this for a while. And it's honestly been like this, I feel like since MOP, which is a weird way to put it because I think MOP was the first, and they did this previously, but MOP was the first big expansion where you had a very tight. It's almost like that was the expansion. They knew how that expansion was going to end as they started it, so they knew essentially all the steps you would take through that expansion was very, very sort of detailed and sort of written for you before they even started. I think every other expansion since then has been very similar in terms of like the story content and like that sort of content. Like maybe raids and systems change, right? But the generally the story is sort of written at the start and sort of they've taken it from start to
Really, you
finish
don't
within
think
that bucket.
Cataclysm is like that? Because Cataclysm, like the opening cinematic for that, is Deathwing. Finish it by killing Deathwing.
I think to be yeah, but Cataclysm, I think Cataclysm suffered from the fact that they did not have a coherent continent of where you stayed, right? So like
Yeah.
Cataclysm thing was not only was Cataclysm changing the world and they had new zones right there, but or sorry, the whole world changed. There's a bunch of quest stuff they did everywhere, and then you had sort of disparate zones where you did things. So it still felt like you weren't on rails yet. Like MOP felt on rails. Like you didn't get out of Jade Forest until you completed the story, and then you went to, whatever the next zone was, a Valley of the Four Winds, or like whatever the Wilds place was to the south of that.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, and
and I
every other
mean,
expansion since then has been like that.
yeah.
So you sort of just like follow the markers, right? And like there's no longer that idea where like you stumble into quests like you did in BC and Classic, right? And maybe you got one breadcrumb quest that sent you to the next quest hub, but like if you missed that breadcrumb quest, you were just sort of wandering around until you found some, little exclamation points in your map, and then you found something to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I actually just ran my Druid in Classic from South Shore to Badlands because I have stuff to do. I had breadcrumb in the Badlands, so I'm like, well, got nothing better to do.
For the next 2 hours.
So, I mean, it's not that far.
No, no,
Also, I'm a Druid, so chapter 4.
that's true.
But, um, yeah, and so there's like different pieces. I think that's a good point, like about it being on rail. Like, you don't have to think about where you're going. I think that's a really big part of it as well. Like, the whole reason they actually took away flying mounts is so that we would have to think about navigation, and then we don't really have to think about navigation anyway.
No,
Um,
it's more of an inconvenience than an actual like, oh, I need to figure out how to get from here to there. It's more of just like they put a fucking mountain in the middle of this quest and I have to figure out a way to run around it or to run
yeah,
up it, you know what I mean? So it's not, I don't know. It's yeah, to me it's these zone like I think I've talked about this before in other contexts too, like in like the way rating works and some of the other systems work. It's all in the service of like a coherent story, which is cool, but there was I don't know there was something cool there was something I think better about the fact that some of these things were just disjointed
yeah,
where you had a random quest to do some random like take this note to this other person and then that person will give you a note and you will take it back and that's it, like that's the quest, like there's nothing like you don't get anything from it. You get some experience, you get maybe a little bit of gold, but like the idea is you just had to walk from A to B and then walk back. And like Preach's point here too is like every quest is filling a bar. Like it's either you're killing a bunch of mobs, like you're killing mobs or clicking things,
or
or you're just
doing
clicking
doing
things.
both at approximately the right amount for far quest.
Yeah, and it's funny because I used to make fun of these quests. Like we used to talk about the fact that like oh, this is just another kill quest where like the drop rate's going to be terrible and you'll kill 700 boars to get your 12 meat and you're going to move on. And it's like, those used to be like the like the onesie twosie ones that were annoying, and now that's literally every quest, which is
Yeah,
like
I hate the fill the bar quests.
it's
It's so
so weird
lazy.
that but it's just so weird that that has become the norm. And like I don't know, there's like it's maybe back then like we were like I don't know. Maybe it was different because we hadn't seen some of this stuff and now they've like done it. Like I remember the first time I did the BC quests at the start of Hellfire where you like ride the thing to bomb the
Yeah.
ziggurats, right? Like that was mind blowing to me because no other quest was like that. But you really can't have that experience again. But like there's very few like I feel like vehicle quests like that. Those are world quests now, which I find
Most of
I
them
don't know.
actually are like campaign quests that then turn into world quests once you finish.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's also the element of like he commented on the elites that you fight during the campaign quest. And there's just a lot of like random elite mobs that you run into
Hmm.
that don't actually do very much. They don't do an elite mob's level of damage. They just have an elite mob's level of health, and they're just like big things to turret down. And like
Yeah.
there's really just not on any axis something very engaging here. Like you really have to be pretty far undergeared, even by casual standards, to have a risk of dying. Like
Yeah.
I have a warrior that I've been leveling, and that's gonna hit Shadowlands at about eye level 50, and that's fairly low. So the first like level where I'm getting to catch up gear is going to be kind of spooky. Um, and then after that, totally fine. I'm not gonna have to worry
Yeah.
about dying ever again. And it's not like I'm like some insane player or something. It's just really hard to die,
Yeah.
and you don't have to think about navigation. You don't have to think about what you need to do to complete the quest because all the quests, not all the quests, but a lot of the quests are just fill the bar or go to the marked location and wait for someone to show up or talk to someone there, do something there.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. It's very strange going back to classic and you have to be afraid of dying because anything could kill you. Like totally real. Anything can kill you.
Yep.
Um, you have to think about how to get places. Sometimes it does take time to get there, which is a downside. But I don't know
Yeah.
if it's really a downside that is uh, worth complaining about. I think it's better. And you have to think about how you're going to actually complete the quest. Like you get a bunch of quests, and then you get this thing where you think about, okay, I have a quest that asks me to kill skeletons, and one that asks me to kill spiders, and one that asks me to kill worgen, and one that asks me to collect doodads off the ground. And these are like not all in the same location, but these two are close by. And then if I go from there over here, then that's where the worgen are. Like that kind of thing, right? You don't really do that
Yeah.
anymore because you get like the two campaign quests that you need to do. They're right on top of each other, and you
And
just
there's
like
always
do
and
them.
there's a secondary quest you're not you don't have to progress the campaign, but if you pick it up then it's literally in the area you're doing the campaign quest anyway, so why don't you do that too?
Yeah,
Yeah. And I get that. Yeah. I think that's if that would be one suggestion I make for like I think you're right. The leveling experience in general is like it's they fail you forward, right? Like they just
yeah,
don't let you fail. Like it's very much an LFR mentality in leveling,
yeah.
which I think I think removing the danger of dying is fine, but I think the fact that you are on rails along with not having the ability to die, right? Or not like being put like having yourself put in danger as you're leveling is a bad combination, right? Like you can't have both of those things.
I think it
Um,
is made worse by that. Absolutely. I don't
yeah.
think eliminating the danger of dying is a good thing. I remember like when I leveled my hunter in Cataclysm. Um, hunter is like one of the safest classes to level. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to die, but in the hinterlands, do you remember that ziggurat in the hinterlands?
I do, yes.
Going through that quest chain on my hunter, I died several times. It wasn't
That's
like that
awesome.
hard. It's always just like there were several other people there. They would be respawns right on top of me. My pet would already be low, and like that kind of thing happens. And like to some degree, having stuff respawn on top of you and like kill you is kind of annoying.
Yeah, yeah.
But like it was playing the game, right? It was like, okay,
Oh yeah.
what do I do if stuff respawns on top of me? Oh, look, something did respawn on top of me. Let me use a freezing trap so that I don't
Yeah.
die to it, and then I can heal my pet and kill it once I've dealt with what I'm currently fighting.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just I've like I said earlier, it's a at least now you get to think about your rotation because you don't literally two shot things like you did a couple years ago. But
That is true.
that's about it.
Yeah, no, it's funny. All my best memories leveling are generally from when either I've screwed up or my friends have screwed up leveling together. My best memories from leveling in Shadowlands are number one, there was a pet that dropped early on in Bastion that if you used would crash you out of the game and wouldn't let you back in. So
Yes,
that was the
yes, I
one
remember
big
you telling me
memory.
about that.
And the other memory, all my other memories around sort of leveling or just playing the game early on are in Perdition's Hold.
Hmm.
Like, and that elite area because we would die over and over again. Like, and it's weird to me that they've sort of gone away from that in terms of like the actual experience and serve. I mean, I guess they've done it in service of two things, right? Number one, generally speaking, leveling in MMOs is never like it's just not a good thing. Like leveling to get to when the game starts is always annoying. Like, and maybe MMOs don't follow that mold, but like I know in like Diablo 3, since I'm playing that right now, like leveling is just annoying to get to 70 when the game actually starts. You know, in
Yeah,
other games, like having
I
to unlock things is just it sucks, right?
I think that that is a flaw of WoW, and to a degree, a flaw of WoW's community. The
Yeah.
like focus on the end game to the exclusion of all other things, because it does like it does have ramifications like this, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's true.
and that's part of what has been fun about going back and playing classic is like the end game is not the whole game, right? Like
Yeah.
there is gameplay throughout the game. It's like I don't go into Dragon Age Origins expecting like to power level all of my characters. I don't even know what the level cap is in the game. Like is there a level cap in that game?
I have
I
no
don't
idea.
know.
Yeah.
Um just like I, I don't expect to go in and like power level the cap and then play the game. You
Yeah.
know, I expect to level up while doing it. That's part of the RPG experience that Ian was so like
That's true.
into for Shadowlands. Like if they want to bring back the RPG experience, make leveling engaging. Make the open world content engaging. Like make it so that stuff can kill you and you have to think about how you do things.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be like every mob's in the league. That's like
A
kind of
bit
ridiculous.
yeah.
But when my like not even like 180 characters just don't give a shit about mobs in the world, I think that's a point where it's really a problem.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, I think those are all good points. I just it's his video was very eye like not eye opening, but like I know it's on the catch up system. It seems like the catch up system is at least from certain aspects good, other aspects not so good. But I think his comment on yeah, you're right. The comment on just the general like you just put something else on and do this like type thing is a bit telling.
Yeah.
Um, it's almost like they've turned WoW into like a seasonal game where like you have like the leveling and then the first like 4 weeks of it and like once LFR is fully out, that's like the end of the season. Then you have this lull in the middle before the next PTR cycle and like season two starts, right? Um,
Man,
but
I
and
hate
yeah,
how accurate that is.
I think yeah, it's who was I was talking to somebody about I forget. I was talking to somebody about this, but yeah, it's very much that sort of idea of like you sign up for the season, you play until, you know, LFR ends, and then kill the last boss in LFR, and then boom, you take a break and go do something else.
When I was a lowly heroic raider, that is actually kind of how we engaged with it. You know,
Yeah.
patch starts, everybody's on, everybody's doing everything, and then we clear the raid on heroic. Does not take even if you're not as even if you're not a mythic raider, it doesn't take that long
No.
to clear the raid on heroic for a lot of people. And then at that point, you know, it would get down to like a core of like 8 to 10 of us that would still play pretty regularly. But
Hmm.
it was definitely seasonal. Like a new patch would come out, and we get a bunch of people that would come back and play the game, and then take a break again. And like I
Yeah.
actually do think that is how a lot of people engage with World. Like they're not sticking around for the whole like what 16 weeks or whatever it took us to
Yeah, whatever
finish
it ends up
Mythic.
being. Yeah, whatever it ends up being. No, that's for sure. Which, yeah, which kind of I'm wondering if the devs see that and that influences their design decisions. I hope not, but yeah, I can definitely you can tell it somewhat does in terms of like the leveling
As
experience and stuff
metrics
like that.
driven as
So
they have seemed to be, I actually think that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, probably. Unfortunately. Oh man. All right. Any other topics on the preach stuff? Or you want to move to the next one?
That, that about
Cool.
I had to say on it.
Awesome. All right. Well, next up is the Blizzard announced a new MDI event called the Great Push of
What do
all
you
things.
think of the name?
Oh my God. So the best meme coming out of it was like a Nagura. Somebody posted a video like it's some like Nagura making some face like she's pooping and just like right next to it's like the Great Push and it's like her side by side with like the logo for it. I mean whatever. Like the names, they had to have known this was gonna happen. You don't name this without like the poop jokes coming. Come on. But yeah, so it's a new MDI format tournament, sort of a one-off thing that they're doing,
Yep.
which essentially it's like literally Blizzard's going to give you keys to do, and you try and do the highest level key of that, whatever the dungeon and affix combination is. Which is cool. Like this is this is what they probably should be doing versus having time trials every 4 weeks would be like changing the format.
Yeah.
Like I could see them doing like I could see this being something that maybe they push forward with, which is like experimenting with just new formats in MDI. Because like time trials with time trials, I think it's a tired and true thing. You can do your seasonal, time trials and then like your BlizzCon thing, right? But I think stuff like this is fun.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this works because like this is one of those ideas where like you're seeing people do like the highest level keys they can. And I think that is fun to see what they figure out. Like, how do they cheese certain mechanics? What mechanics become one shots at a certain key level, and then how do they get around that?
It can be really
Like what class?
interesting because like there's a lot of stuff that mattered in high keys in BFA that never got fixed because it
Oh
never
yeah,
showed up in the MDI because like in an 18 or a 20 it was totally fine, but when you hit 28,
yeah,
suddenly Captain Krog is like one-shotting through plate armor.
yeah, yeah. So it'll be fun. Like this is where I think the MDI traditionally their time trials format sort of highlights just interesting routing and pulling strategies and things like that, right? I think there's somewhat there, but I think this coming up is going to be we'll probably see more interesting uses of classes like
Yeah.
what are brought where, why are they brought, what certain abilities negate things. So
Possible highlight. This is so traditionally, or I don't know if I should say traditionally. In BFA, Brewmaster was actually a lot better in high keys than it was in the time trial kind of environment. I don't know if that is still true,
yeah,
but it definitely, I think, like Part Warrior, Bear, and Brewmaster all like have advantages over Vengeance Demon Hunter in those hierarchies where just like can you live through this is a more serious question.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it'll be cool. I'm really really excited. I think the format's essentially their signups are till the 17th of May. Then you have proving grounds, which is basically to try and do the highest key that you can. And then I think it's 8 or 6 teams qualify based on like the highest difficulty key you've done.
Yeah.
And then those 6 teams compete in like I guess it's like a round robin or some sort of tournament, right? That following weekend over 3 days. So,
Yeah. I
um,
mean, I think this is cool. And I think this is actually like changing the format. I think you're exactly right, is what they need to do
yeah,
because the time trials format is very one note. Like, it's been solved. Like, the way to do it is you pick the things that let you do the biggest pulls, and
yep,
then you do the biggest pulls, and you kill the things before they kill you. And that's the whole
exactly.
strategy.
Yeah,
That's very reductive. I don't mean to be reductive, but that is from a viewing perspective, that is the strategy. From an
Yeah.
execution perspective, like there's a lot more detail, but that detail does not show up on the screen.
Yeah, which I mean we've talked about that side of it. But yeah, I mean this will be fun to see what like even too if they I mean what well, hopefully they do this, maybe they do this. I bet you they don't cuz I don't think they have like the manpower to pull this together, but it would be interesting to see them do side by side comparisons of like how like an 18 time trial like MDI run of this dungeon went and like here's how the 25 or 28 or whatever key level they do goes, right?
Yeah.
To kind of highlight the differences in terms of like why MDI is just different, right? So
Yeah,
but
and I
we'll see.
mean, I think it would be very interesting as well, like, while they're changing up the format, maybe in the future we get something where the key level you do on Proving Grounds determines the key level that you compete at. Like maybe
Yeah.
they take like if you can, they take your highest key level that you did on the Proving Grounds and they use that to put you in a bracket. And then that bracket, is like 3 key levels lower than what you did. So it's like you're still gonna more reliably complete the key during the
Yeah.
competition. But it's, instead of it being everybody doing 18s and 20s, it's gonna be like the like gold bracket that's doing like 28s, and then the silver bracket that's doing like 25s or 24s, and then the bronze bracket is doing this. And then
Yeah.
that, then each of those different brackets is like different, because the bronze one is going to be a lot more like the existing MDI, and the gold
Yeah.
one might be a lot more like this great push. God, what a name! This
They went
The guy
there.
that named that had to have also named Charred Passions. Like
Yeah.
it's
I
gotta
mean
be. It's
they
gotta
they
be.
knew. They had to know, man. They had to know. So no, but this will be fun. This is so it's the end of May. So it's May 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Yep.
Is the final stuff. Then Proving Grounds the
Is the
weekend
week
before
before.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, shout out to them doing Proving Grounds on a weekend too, for like people who actually have jobs and want to actually compete in this. So
Yeah.
cool. So next up, real quick, 9.1 was pushed to their vendor CDN, which for people who don't know what a CDN is, it's a content delivery network. It's essentially a way for you to download patches quicker because they put it on servers closer to you. So 9.1 was pushed to that earlier this week. Everything points to next week
9.1
being PTR.
PTR.
Yeah. 9.1 PTR, sorry. Yeah. So, so yeah, so that's pretty much next week. Next Tuesday, I think we should see something Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. PTR should go up, and then we'll have fun. So not really gonna spend a lot of time there. Next up, a couple more things, just a handful new things. Wowhead has been following a writer. Oh gosh, I should have pulled up the guy's name or gentleman's name.
Wyatt
Um,
Troll.
Wyatt Troll, thank you, who has been basically mapping out WoW races as Dungeons and Dragons or D&D 5e rule set races and classes and things like that, I believe too. So, really cool if you want to read into it. I mean, if you're into D&D, the only reason I put this on here is that we mentioned Peak of Serenity. If you're a Patreon, there is a D&D campaign out there you can sign up for and have some fun with other
I don't know how
Patreons.
Babs feels about using these in those campaigns. But I
Yeah,
have a
we want.
feeling that he would be open to the subject.
Yeah, but I would wait. Hopefully would wait till they flesh out everything. I think he's still posting. Like I saw the undead one was this week. I think last week was troll maybe. So he's still sort of the writer is still sort of fleshing these out. But if you're interested in D&D, there's somebody's putting together 5e rule sets for all the races, which I think is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Um, so yeah, so that was just sort of a quick little World of Warcraft thing to touch on. Two other quick things. Well, depends. Emallson, you let me know if you want to cover these. Well, we're gonna cover at least the first one. You can let me know on the second
All
one.
right, all right.
First one is basically Omar Gonzalez, who, if you don't know this gentleman, he was a Blizzard server engineer. Essentially, he was the individual that built the original classic server. So he essentially built the way the modern WoW server could read and translate the classic data set into something and basically gave Blizzard something working in his spare time that gave them enough confidence to then push forward and launch classic as it is today. So Omar is leaving. He is heading to he's heading to
Dreamhaven.
Mike Morheim's studio. Was
Yeah.
it Dream Haven?
Dreamhaven, yeah.
Yeah. So he's heading over to hang out with Mike, of course, Mike Morheim, former CEO of Blizzard, founder and CEO, I believe. But yeah, Omar's
I'm
leaving.
starting to get really curious now.
About Dreamhaven, yeah, they've got a
Yeah,
lot of ex-Blizzard guys there, so
yeah. They
they're
have not
cooked.
just a lot of ex-Blizzard guys, but like, okay, so Mr. Gonzalez here was just working on Classic, right? Like server engineer for Classic, and I don't know. I'm really curious because this isn't like he's a server engineer for Overwatch or server engineer for Diablo. Like, just there's overlap in the different skill sets to be sure, but his expertise has been in working on all the Warcraft servers. And so
Hmm.
maybe it's just they picked up someone that's a solid engineer. That's definitely a possibility. But the fact that they were just working on the classic servers has me really, really interested in what is going on over at Dream.
I I don't think it's an MMO, man. Like, so I would say
It's
that
such a long shot, right? Because the
you
last
need so
successful
much money,
MMO
dude.
that I know of was Final Fantasy 14, and that is only because Square Enix is behind.
Well, and so they shut down that too and rebuilt it from the ground up,
Yeah,
right? Like they shut down that game for what was it, like a month or two,
no, no,
and
no.
then
They it was actually live all the way up until the new version launched. Um,
gotcha.
but
But
they were
they
developing
stopped dev on
one
that.
in parallel to it, and then they
Yeah.
shut down the old server. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, Square's got it, and then the only other new one, there's one coming out of the Amazon one, right? New World or New Haven or something like that.
I have not even
Um,
heard about that actually.
and then Riot is of course making one
Yeah,
of
I
League of
have heard
Legends
about that
fame.
one.
But I think to make an MMO today, like you need an existing IP that will pull people across. I think this Amazon one, New Haven or New World or whatever it's called, is not going to be good. I'll be flat out. Uh,
It's such a generic name. Also, goodbye, Anomoly, as his computer appears to have once again crashed.
whew. All right, that's annoying.
So
Uh,
are you getting like, is your computer shutting off? Or are you getting
yeah.
like kicked off the
It,
network?
no, it's just literally flat blue screening, which is
That's bad.
yeah,
That
which
is really
means
bad.
it's I don't know what's the issue considering it's brand new. The only thing I did was put in new hard drives into it or old hard drives. Uh, so we'll see how well this goes. If I crash again, I may be uh like plugging in my old computer real quick and booting that up. It's sitting right next to it, so it's literally just moving all the cables over.
Yeah.
Um, sorry about this.
That's okay. On the subject of MMOs that have succeeded, I think the only other one that like succeeded in the kind of modern era is Guild Wars 2,
Yeah, I
which
mean you could say that SWOTOR did though too.
uh and if it started with a subscription model and went to a free to play model, it failed.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough.
That's
Fair enough.
that's my line. Like it can find a new life as a free to play game, and SWTOR absolutely has. And that it, I haven't played it since it launched. I've heard good things about the story content, but I haven't wanted to like pick it up and try playing it because I've heard it's also very grindy if you don't pay anything. Um,
Yes.
but one of these days I might like put a $20 into it or something, the kind of thing that I would buy a game on sale on Steam for, and like treat it like a code game because it actually did have very good story content. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Guild Wars 2, I would say largely succeeded, kind of on the downhill trend now, but like it's a very short list. There's a lot of other MMOs that launched that didn't make it very far.
No. I played a lot of those
Yeah, me
for
too.
sure. For sure. But yeah, I don't actually think I mean, if Dreamhaven comes out the gate with an MMO, that's a bit ambitious. I
Yeah.
think they'll I to be fair, I think you need another IP. Like I think World of Warcraft's was like a right time, right place thing, but I also think that they were helped by having all the Warcraft lore to push them forward. Um,
Yeah, but like they really had the Warcraft 3 lore for it. And I honestly
yeah,
don't know how
fair.
much they even needed that. I think honestly the biggest strength of it is that it basically cannibalized EverQuest because it was EverQuest but more approachable
Yeah.
and less grindy, and looked good, like genuinely looked good, even on really crappy hardware. Like you could have a dumpster to your computer, and it would look better than EverQuest.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they have. But they ganked or Dreamhaven pulled Omar over to their rank. So Blizzard loses another. Sounds like a good one. So I bet you some of the classic or kids are not too happy with that one, but we'll see.
And
Um,
one more thing, there is a Diablo 2 resurrected technical alpha that just started. Hey, do you want to guess what I got this week?
did you get Diablo 2 resurrected
No, I got
technical alpha?
vaccinated. I did not get a beta.
Oh, cool. I get vaccinated on Monday. Whoo!
um,
Um, that sucks. I don't know if you've watched any streams of this though.
I
Game
have
looks
not.
good. Game
I've
looks good.
Yeah,
So
I've heard good things.
yeah.
I don't know anybody actually that has the beta, but
I think
uh,
one person in my guild got it, but
got you.
um,
Oh,
I have zero desire to play this game. Just heads up, it just looks really good. I'm not a Diablo 2 fanatic. I have
I'm
zero.
interested in playing it just because of the history, like
That's fair.
of it, like its role in the genre and in gaming in general. I'm interested for that and basically. Um,
Yeah. I
on the
mean, I
note of
can't.
like these
What's that?
ARPG games though, did you see the Path of Exile 2 stuff from this week?
I caught the trailer. I did not watch anything other than the trailer, so I know nothing about it other than that 2 or 3 minute trailer that they posted,
Yeah.
like the quick one.
So some people in Guild were talking about it, and apparently they're basically going to be re-releasing Path of Exile with a new engine and a bunch of new story content, and that's
Yeah,
Path of Exile 2.
yeah. So literally, it's like an engine. Yeah, I heard that it's an engine rewrite and one more act
Yeah,
was what I pulled from it. So it'll be interesting to see. I
it
mean,
will
to be
be
fair,
interesting to
like
see. I wonder how that
there's
is going to, like, when that is going to release in relation to Diablo 4.
yeah, that'll be interesting. I well, they've already said that they've been very or very sort of vocal that it's like a 2022 thing. I think
Okay.
so. But we'll see. Yeah, when those two come together. I think they're two very different games. I think they're both ARPGs, but I think like Diablo ends up being the light, like the jump in, jump out seasonal thing where PoE still has seasons, but PoE is like very much more deep with a bunch of different systems that sort of interact with each other. So but yeah,
Yeah, every time
be
I've
interesting
tried
to see.
to start playing UE, always like bounce off of it because I just don't have the time to invest in that. Although these days you can very easily like go up and pull up a build. It's
Yeah.
like they have starter builds for every season.
That's so I will tell you, it's funny. The one thing just I know we're on a tangent here on
Yeah,
PoE, but if you do want to get into it, my thing with it, and I think if you I don't know if you watch Carnage, he's a Twitch streamer, but he gives a really good overview of like PoE, and basically he's like, look, PoE has been around for years. There are millions of systems that interact in millions of different ways. Like, do not expect going into your first season learning everything. So he's like, basically pick a starter build and just play the game. And like when something you hit something you don't understand, learn just that thing. And if
yeah,
that's all you learn that season, that's been a good season. Cause like there's like delving and harvest and like this jail thing. And then there's like breakouts and there's mapping and there's like all these different systems. And he's like, his take was basically like, look, you're not going to learn everything even in your first season. So like just maybe learn one thing, right? And go from there. So it's a fun game though. It's a good game. Alrighty. I think that about does it for our
yeah. This now
for
brings
our
us to the discussion of the only beta I am going to be getting next week,
heck yeah
and that is
PTR
the
beta.
9.1 PTR.
Nice. I'm excited. So yeah, so I think this episode we sort of kind of threw together, we'll say. And what we wanted to do is basically just take a look at like what are some of the things that are coming out, what are our predictions of maybe what we'll see in the patch based on our extensive knowledge, speaking with Blizzard employees and the
Oh
other
yeah, tons
betas
of
and alphas that
conversation.
we've both participated in
Uh
together.
huh. Uh huh.
Uh, so I think the first up is sort of break this out into a couple different sections, and we're of course going to change the juiciest section for last. Hopefully, I don't crash in between then and now.
You're gonna crash
But
in the middle of talking about Mist.
I am. It's gonna be great. But yeah, so I think first of all, I wanted to at least touch on the new zone. So we are of course getting a new zone, I think attached to the mall, right? Or like
Something like that.
somewhat near the mall. Um, and so what I wanted to sort of just a couple of predictions about what we'll see here. So the first thing that I thought of was around Anima being a new zone. And I know that Anima has sort of fueled most of our Covenant pieces, but do you think we'll get like more anima sources? Meaning like we'll now start to, instead of getting like a paltry like 100, 200 a world quest, we're going to see something like 5, 600, like basically that, 2x boost or something
I
like that.
actually think we will across the board, like across the entire game, see more anima. Like it's just gonna be a feature of the patch. We dealt with um Denathrius siphoning off some of the anima, and it's
Yep.
going to go up, by an amount. And then there will be a 9.1.5 that basically takes place after the defeat of whatever is in like Sylvanas, whatever's the last boss of the raid, and it'll
Yeah.
bump it again. And I think that is the only way the anima costs on the cosmetics ever make sense.
That's true. That's true.
That's the only way. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody could drag themselves through so many world quests otherwise.
It's rough. I have literally stopped. Yeah, there's grinding and then there's like the current costs for items of anima and it's just
Well,
unattainable.
yeah. And then you like, do you think we're gonna get a new currency? Like, I mean, we know Stygia is not gonna have use in 9.1. We're gonna get a new Stygia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get a new currency from that zone. Like new rep, new
Do you
currency, I
think
think
they're
is
gonna
is almost a
repurpose the
given.
Eye of the Jailer thing for 9.1 in the zone?
They repurpose it?
Like, basically, it's gonna be like not literally Eye of the Jailer because it's a new zone, but like
Mhm.
basically Eye of the Jailer, so it time limits the amount of time you're there.
No.
Yeah. I think you're right, and I really hope you're right. I
The only reason I say that is, and Blizzard's done this before, but we fight the Eye of the Jailer in the raid. So my
Mhm.
assumption is canonically we kill it so that it's no longer there to watch
Right, but
us.
like, is there gonna be something else? Like maybe there's a
Yeah,
the
maybe.
other Eye of the Jailer.
I don't think they'll do another one of those things because I think the
Yeah,
idea is that the mall becomes less scary
yeah.
now versus when we first got there.
I
That was their
also
whole
just think
point.
it's a failure that nobody liked, but
It's just so dumb. I think it was just because like yeah, I have a tangential comment on that, which I'll bring up at the end about like when
yeah,
Blizzard doesn't know how to do things, they do some stupid stuff. So,
yeah. Speaking of Stygia, I spent this week doing the Stygia farm because I felt really bad about not having done it basically any of it during Prague. Like,
yeah,
I just unlocked the ability to buy sockets, and I bought my first socket this week. And you want to know how much damage I got from putting that socket in?
uh, 32 DPS.
Oh, you high rolling
Damn,
15.
15. Okay, I doubled up. I thought it'd be up there.
I
That's
can put a
crazy.
socket in every single one, and it's worth less DPS than like half a potion.
It's so dumb.
It's and some of
Whatever.
that's like tank things, but some of it's like I did that. I put in all the work to get my socket this week, and I saw the sim after I put the socket on something, and I was like, I did all of that. This
For this. Yeah.
like I
That
was
is
doing the thing where you, because of the Eye of the Jailer, this is how it relates. Because of the Eye of the Jailer, what you do is you go and you complete all of your dailies except for one thing. You leave one thing undone because you get a massive increase in your Eye of the Jailer when you complete the requirements for the quest. So you complete all
yeah.
of them but one. You go and do other things. You kill rares, that kind of stuff. To get to max Eye of the Jailer, you go and you knock out that last one thing and turn in the quest, and you still get this at the end. It like doubles your Stygia.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I never did that. I just did the dailies every day
Yeah.
for like
Uh,
4 months.
so I did that because I was like
That's fair.
I was so far
That's
behind.
fair.
Um, but I did that and I got my socket and I was like, I kind of want to do the rest. Like I could be in a month. I could have 6 sockets and like I'm not replacing these pieces. I have best in slot in separate slots. Like I'm not replacing them.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps that several slots are B because it reverse. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think new currency. I do not expect to see another Eye of the Jailer.
No. No. Do you think we'll get? Do you think the? I guess the way that we don't know anything about the zone, but do you think the zone will just be unlocked at the start? Or do you think there'll be different areas of it, like Beast Warden's Perdition's Hold
I
was?
think there'll be different areas. We've actually seen that pretty repeatedly. Argus was like that. Argus had different zones, and you couldn't
Yep.
even get you could get to Perdition Hold. You couldn't open the. I don't think you could open the gate. And honestly,
Uh,
that
you could
the
go. You could go in, but there was like a stacking dot. Oh, well, oh, wait, that was Beast Wardens that you would get some sort of dot on you that would kill you. Yeah, Perdition's Hold. I don't think you would open the gate. I think it was
yeah,
locked too.
but like Argus, you couldn't even go to the other one. Like you could see them
Yeah.
on the map, but there was just no way to get there. And then what? Nazjatar mostly opened up the day that you got it, but there was new stuff that opened up a little bit over time.
As
Um,
you got rep with certain
as you
things,
got
or you
rep.
did certain quests. I think
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was
I think it
like
was quest based. Yeah.
the two were I think linked, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think we've seen that enough times that I'm pretty confident. It's gonna
More
unlock.
progression while I'm watching Netflix.
Yep.
Demon Slayer, by the way, little anime.
Yep.
But yeah, it's yeah, I think progression. Yeah, so it's like more anima hopefully is the key. New rep, new currency to farm, new areas unlocked, no Eye of the Jailer type mechanic. Um, anything else you think about this new zone? Like,
Did you
do we
mention on stream or before the stream that you're taking notes, and we
I
are going
am.
to check our
I think I said
accuracy
this
next week?
before. Yeah. Yeah, I am
Yeah.
taking notes. That's why I'm like recounting in my head as
Yeah.
I write this down so that
So we're
I
gonna see
know.
how accurate we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So so anything else you think about this section's particularly for the zone itself, but
Um.
um
Okay. So I'm actually kind of excited just because this zone, from what I understand from the stuff we saw at BlizzCon, is going to
uh
feature the Ethereals or the Shadowlands version of the Ethereals, which are basically just high res it fairly
yeah,
prominently, and I just think they're super cool. I'm kind of excited by that. So
nice, nice. But so anything with the ethereals, like do you think we'll get because I know we get the new we'll talk about the new mega dungeon in a bit, but like do
oh,
do we get any weird things with them? Like well
we're gonna
they'll
get some ethereal themed transmog.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, we are super getting a toilet paper trend.
Nice, nice, nice. So toilet paper transmog. Okay, okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about the zone that I care about. Um, I don't really. I wonder. So I'm gonna throw something out there that maybe it doesn't hit, but I wonder if there are hints. So this kind of goes to the secrets, but if there are hints on this new landmass that there are other similar like there are other land masses in the ether that is the
Okay,
unknown area
okay, yeah.
between the bastion and things like I wonder if this is like while they're pulling this huge landmass in like there is a like there's a section of it or a piece of it that's like somewhat familiar to us that we're like oh we've seen this before from like some other place. That's what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be something where it's like there's a portion of this
9.2
landmass.
Argus Redux.
I'm sorry.
9.2 is just gonna be Argus, but again.
Well, maybe not specifically Argus, but like some other like maybe it's like the what is it? The Emerald Dream, right? Like there's some sort of
Oh, yeah,
like mixture of that, right? From
yeah.
like a Shadowlands perspective. So I think there's definitely going to be some sort of secret around like a portion of the landmass looks familiar, is familiar to like another area we visited or something like that. So yeah, that's my out there sort of prediction.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Number one wish. Like this is the thing that you want to see, specifically related to the new zone. What is the biggest thing you want to see?
What is a bit
Like it could be a system, it could be a thing in the zone.
flight points in the zone. Some sort of travel network in the zone. That's what I want.
Okay. We're getting flying in the rest of the Shadowlands patch, right?
And we're getting mounting in the mall,
And we're
which
getting
I
mounting.
assume extends to this area.
Um I
but
want
I
to
want I
see.
want a flight network.
I want to see little collectible things that are scattered throughout the zone. That you can
Okay.
collect them all, and it gives you flying in the zone.
Okay.
That's what I want to see. That if they did that, like that'd be great. That's
Flying by
fantastic.
collectibles. Okay.
That's for reference. That is how Final Fantasy XIV does their flying unlocks. You do it per zone, which on occasion is very annoying when you go back to an old zone and you realize you never finished it, so you can't fly.
That's
But
awesome.
you do like you can get flying as early or as late as you want in an expansion, depending on when you want to go around and do it.
That's funny.
But
Okay.
I very like that. I like it a lot, and
That'd be
I would love
that'd
to
be
see it
interesting.
introduced here. We're getting flying other places, and it would just be like kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They can't let us fly there though.
Yeah, they
Maybe they
can.
can. Maybe they could.
I
Well,
don't think
cool.
they're going to, but
Any
I
other
want to.
zone? Any other zone top? Sorry.
Nah, I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah, zone's gonna be kind of be more World Quest to do. Super excited. Uh, all right, so next up is new raid. New raid. So for I actually went back and rewatched the BlizzCon unveil of this just because I forgot everything. So it's called the Sanctum of Domination. It is at the time was 10 bosses. They gave an overview of a couple of the bosses, right? So we see Terragru's Revenge. Terragru is, of course, the big thing that follows you around in Torghast that kills you if you die too much on the floor.
I
There's
got
Ive
to
the
that
Jailer.
this week, not this week, last week on my warlock
Really?
because I took the thing that when you jump, it gives you like a super powerful jump,
Oh, yes.
and then I just
Was it?
fucking jumped off the edge multiple times.
I do.
Just boom, and I'm
I
gone.
do that. I do that all the time. Was it the one the hall? Is it the halls that have like all the platforms are like really thin and there's always edges everywhere?
Yes,
Yeah, it was that one. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that was always yeah, that one was always fun. But yeah, Terragru's there. Eye the Jailer, Fate of the Damned, Kel'Thuzad, and Sylvanas as raid bosses. So my first piece is like, great, they're all there. Number one, is Sylvanas the last boss of the instance?
I don't think they said. Did they say?
Well, that was one of the prediction questions. I don't remember. So they did not say in the talks. I don't know if they said after the fact either.
Yeah, I think she is the final boss. I don't
Oh,
think we're killing the jailer yet.
I would disagree.
Okay.
I think she is a I think she may be the
Like the
penultimate
penultimate
boss.
boss, like the
I think the
hopefully not.
jailer is actually the final boss.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I could see that. I just would have expected if we were going to fight the jailer at this point, I would have
Yeah.
expected them to say like, "Hey, you're gonna fight the jailer." Maybe they don't think we've gotten enough animosity for him yet, and we need to do the patch content. We have enough animosity to really get excited by killing the jailer.
So here's my lore nerd ways of how this is going to work, by the
Okay.
way.
Okay. I'm here.
So the jailer, very much like Ner'zhul, when Ner'zhul inhabited the old helmet and turned Arthas mad, the jailer's doing the same thing to Anduin.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual final boss of this expansion is Anduin. So
I
the
like
idea
it.
is that we kill the jailer thinking everything is over, but with him dying, Anduin is now like ripped of like he no longer has his chains controlling him. So that the rune blade he has just inhabits his body and makes him go crazy, and he becomes like some ultra powerful Lich King 2.0.
Wow, I actually think you might have called it. And the crux of it is basically because they keep doing this, right? They keep having us do things that look good on the surface that have negative consequences. They don't tell us about, and they don't let
Yep.
us like stop and say, "Hey, wait a second. What if we didn't kill this boss right here in this way?" See
Yep.
also Queen Ajara. Um,
Exa- It would be the second time they've done it in as many expansions. Even like was there one
Kill
in
Jaden, where
there wasn't one in Legion, was there?
well, there's so in WAD there was Gul'dan at the end.
Yep.
In Legion, I would argue that the cinematic after Kill Jaden is kind of that. It's not literally because we killed Kill Jaden, it's Illidan, but
Yeah.
that directly leading to Argus, which then directly leads to the Sword of Sargeras. Like there's definitely like it's a little bit looser to be sure in Legion. I don't think there's anything as direct as oops, we freed this off
Yeah, exactly.
in BFA. Um, but yeah, and I think that is the crux of it. Like we're going to kill the. I'm sold now. We're going to kill the jailer, and in killing the jailer, we're going to free. Like, there's no need for the chains anymore, right? Because the jailer is dead, so he will be free, which then frees Manduin to be the Lich King we all need him to be.
And then here it goes. I'm gonna hate myself for saying this, but we don't kill Sylvanas. We essentially weaken her enough, and because we've just let Anduin go crazy, we
We
need
go
her
work with
help
Sylvanas,
to break the spell. Sylvanas comes back. She's
or
back in it, baby.
or Sylvanas, we do kill her, but it's the Shadowlands. So now we get to work with her dead form.
I could see either. I could
could
see
see
either going.
Yeah.
God, no. There's so much here. But yeah, I think honestly, Jailer final boss here, and I think Anduin becomes the actual final boss of the expansion. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
What do you think? So, question: Fate of the Damned. I all I heard was the name. What do you think that's about?
It's going to be I'm calling it now a Reliquary of Souls style of fight.
Fate of the Damned is a Reliquary of Souls. Okay.
Where there's like
See,
Reliquary of Souls are that's the Burning Crusade one, right?
yeah, that's the
Uh
one with the faces. The
yeah.
the
And then
three
there's
different
another
faces.
one in Sumu Sargeras that's like that.
There is a similar one in Tomb. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
gonna be something like that. That's
Interesting. I had a different take on that one.
okay.
I think that's the Arthas fight.
Oh.
See, I'm thinking
Hmm.
like this is their like we're gonna get everybody you need to know about in Shadowlands out
Okay.
now, and then because KT's in here, man, like they gotta. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little off, but I
That
think it's
I
the
could
Arthas
see
fight.
that. So if you remember from Warcraft 3, the necromancer cult thing is the cult of the damned. That actually would
Yeah,
make a lot of sense.
I did not remember that. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, I think that's the way this goes. I think Fate of the Damned is the Arthas one. You kill Kel'Thuzad again. Hopefully, Kel'Thuzad's fight is similar to his Nax 40 fight. That'd be pretty cool if they do a similar sort of like,
I'm sure there will be some callbacks.
yeah, which would be cool. Sylvanas, not the final boss. She's probably penultimate, I would say. Jailer final boss, and then Anduin gets to be. He's no longer a little kid. So,
Yeah. This
then it'll be like every other final boss. We don't kill them. We just make them better. Garrosh, Gul'dan, Sargeras. I don't know.
we
Name
didn't
it,
actually kill
whatever other ones.
Sargeras. We killed Argus.
Sire
Argus is dead.
Denathrius.
Yeah. Um
So
what do
we
you
got
think
our lore hour out.
the is there going to be like a major intentional or not mechanical theme? Like Tumas Argeris had soaks, Castle Nathria had push timers.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I would have said priority debuffs was another big thing in Castle Nathria, where like you had like Zymok, you had Stone Legion generals, even like impale targets on Sire were very similar, right?
That's mostly a
So
healer
that's
mechanic.
right, but it's been a very prevalent one in terms of
Yeah.
like things like that. I don't know if there'll be a prevailing mechanic. I think so judging by the way that this expansion has gone, right? Just looking at all the fights, I think Blizzard's going more in the direction of maybe not soaks, but like some level of individual responsibility for like how you do something.
Mm-hmm.
So like a mechanic where like you as a player are targeted by something, you do something specific, and then your raid reacts the way you reacted.
Yeah.
So think of like portals on Zymok, Stone Legion generals, the big puddle thing, whatever they're called, the
Yeah.
explosions.
Impale stuff to a degree also applies there.
And yeah, impale stuff with the things that it drops. So I think that's going to be a prevailing mechanic. Even Enerva and her like geometry wars thing.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get more like mechanics that are dependent on you and you like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like you doing something because you're targeted by it, and then your raid reacting to what you do,
Yeah.
right? I hope to God we don't get any more Dark Recital. If we get another
No
Dark
more
Recital,
dance
I'm gonna
mechanics.
freak out, dude.
Dance mechanics. We went into council for farm yesterday, and I was not prepared for like Dark Recital was actually for the most part not an issue. People could
That's
do it now.
nice.
They
That's
learned it. They
nice.
can do it now. Our push timers were all over the goddamn place and a complete shit show. And
Yeah.
so we didn't quite kill it last night because like who even knows what the hell is supposed to happen when our DPS went up by this much since the last time we killed the boss. Um, it's that's I actually think
That's
one
hilarious.
thing that we may see in new raid is a deliberate move away from spell queuing and push time.
Okay. Okay.
Specifically because of Stone Legion General. And like Stone Legion Generals was a big buggy fight, but it's a big buggy fight. And when they fixed the bugs, was still a shit fight.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Um, and so
Well, I
specifically,
mean,
like there's this tier we have Zymox, we have to a degree Enerva, although Enerva is mostly benign. We have Council, we have Stone Legion Generals, we have a DPS stop on Denathrias, and it's like half the tier, half the tier has push timer bullshit.
yeah. Yeah, it's and it'd be cool if they actually did a fight like a Nerva should have been, which is like a fight where you interact with something and can trigger certain things. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's funny, like everybody harps on Stone Legion Generals, and Nerva's a joke of a fight for where she's placed.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a like that could be a fourth boss you kill. Like if you think about it, you could do Huntsman,
Yeah.
Hungering, and
It
then
could
go
be
right to a
possible.
Nerva at this point because it's just a
And
DPS
that's actually
race.
from the data. That's what people do because it's a
Really?
joke of a fight.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, so I mean, I would hope that the spell queuing, I don't so I would say that spell queuing ends up not being a thing they go away from.
I mean, okay,
However,
I think it's going to be like a more deliberate effort to make sure that the spell queuing can't do anything really bullshit. Because like
yeah,
Denathrius has spell queuing, but it almost never shows up because the timers are actually very tightly tuned.
yeah,
Um, like the only thing he can really queue is like there's maybe I actually can't think of a single instance of him doing anything at all.
yeah,
It's always the same order.
yeah.
Timer's
Yeah.
there,
So I think
but like that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's like virtually impossible for it to matter, but you know, it still exists.
yeah. Yeah, so it'll be I feel like though I feel like I'm there with you on at least the push timer thing, potentially more just global timers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, not more global timers, less global timers and more like phase-based timers where things reset regardless of when you pushed, right? But we'll see. We'll see. Um any other raid stuff that I mean we talked about the lore, talked about some fights.
They
Um
mentioned the gear thing they are going to do for raid a little bit in the. What are your predictions for that? Are we getting corruption? No,
oh yeah, that
we
interview.
know it's not tier sets.
I such a tough one. I don't think we are getting corruption again. I don't think the system that Ian described. So for those of you unaware, Ian, this wasn't actually in the announcement. This was an interview Ian
Right.
gave,
Sorry.
I think, with Forbes. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, basically essentially described like an empowerment system coming from the raid where like certain pieces of gear, there's like the ability for players to maybe empowered or there'll be an empowerment on your gear. Very much sounded like corruption 2.0. Don't think we get this. I think we get this, but I think it's not corruption 2.0.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
there's a
it's
lot loaded into that corruption 2.0 term. To be fair.
right, right. I don't think it'll end up being like a risk reward type system. I don't think it'll end up being as extreme, like as exaggerated in the power it gives you either. I think it ends up being almost like like an empowered conduit type thing,
Sort of
right?
like
Where like
legendaries right
I'm sorry.
now. Sort of like legendaries where there's like instead of getting
Very
soul ash from Torghast, you like get a currency from raid that you can use to give legendary effects. Like not our current legendaries, but empowered conduit kind of effects to
yeah.
your gear. Build your
Yeah,
own
I
tier
think that'll
set
be the level of
kind of thing.
power that these end up being.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope that they are a lot better than empowered conduits because we only got one conduit worth empowering as a brewmaster.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Man, it would really suck for the whole system to just be dead in the water because the conduits all suck.
Would be pretty
Oh,
bad. It would be pretty
do you
bad.
think we're getting conduit rebalance? In
I think I'm what
in
do you mean by
8.1 we
rebalance?
got Azerite trait rebalance. We got everybody that had like all a bunch of dead traits, like they all had one of the worst traits removed and a new one added that was typically extremely good.
Gotcha.
That's where
I
Glimmer
think we
came
will
from.
get new conduit powers. I don't think we're gonna get a like so rebalance in the terms of like I don't think they'll do the exact same thing of removing one and adding a
Right.
new one. I
Do you
think
think
we'll
we'll
get new ones.
okay.
Um, and they'll probably change the old ones, but not in a way that's like I think it'll be like percentage changes or like potentially like a proc rate increase versus like, you know, now you no longer have this one and it's renamed this one, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't think they'll
Yeah.
do something like that. So probably just new ones to be fair.
I would
I don't know
not
about
I would actually be a little bit surprised if we did not see at least a few conduits just totally missed. And
okay.
it's specifically because Brewmaster's got a couple that are like Celestial Effervescence. Or what's our one? There's one that we have that procs on our heals while we have Celestial Brew up that only works
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Vivify and the initial gift of the Ox Heal.
Okay.
Nothing else. Like, and if you're sitting there with Celestial Brew up vivifying yourself, you've got bigger problems.
It's a solo thing. It's a solo thing.
No, it's not. Because you've got Celestial Brew up. You don't need to vivify yourself. In solo content, if you have Celestial Brew up, you're literally immortal for the next 10 seconds.
Oh man, that's pretty good. Okay, any other gear or like we'll talk I guess we'll talk a little bit about gear here in a minute. I guess we can sort of talk about this, but we'll sort of transition I think to the mega dungeon topic now because it's the other areas I wanted to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit more wide open here, but talking about gear, we'll hit that one first. Do you think there will be a broken trinket or piece of gear out of the mega dungeon that you
Yes.
must have?
Yes.
Yes.
Um,
I was also
it
there
may
too.
not be a trinket. It may be something like the Fire Mage bracers that came from Mechagon.
Yep.
I would not be surprised to see items like that come from the Mega Dungeon. That seems like a very interesting way for them to do loot. I like it. I actually really like a lot of the Mechagon items. A lot of them are very underrated, and then they just completely whiffed on the power level of those fucking bracers.
That's so good.
It's like if you've ever looked at like Magic the Gathering, it's very interesting to look back at some old stuff because you look at like an old set and
Yeah.
you look at it and go like, okay, a lot of these like actually kind of suck. There's a lot of low powered stuff here, but there's a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of cool stuff. And there's this one random card where it's like, oh yeah, they completely missed on the power level of that and it's banned in every format.
Yeah. They made
That's the
that one crazy.
bracers. That's the bracers, and I think that's good.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Just no more of those that dumb trinket that I had to wear on Ajara to do damage.
The
It's
font,
dumb. What?
font.
No, not the font. It was the one from Mechagon, the unstable whatever
Oh
device, the damage thing I had to
yeah.
use on ads on Ajara.
Oh,
Right.
PCI.
Whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Um,
Cyclotronic Blast.
yeah. Which was awesome when like
I still have that in my bags. It's actually like my number 4 trinket right now.
oh my so dumb, dude. I hated wearing it as a healer because like I'd always forget it for the first like 5 or 6 pulls of like when we were doing progression, and then like somebody like, why is he not dying in time? Healers? And I would be like, shit. Because I knew it was me. Because I knew it was me. So yeah. Yeah, but there'll definitely be some sort of like you're right, some sort of we'll call it a broken item, but it'll be an item that there will be an item for pretty much every class you want to get or
God, I
every spec
had
you want to get.
forgotten how dumb Cyclo was.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
I
it
literally
actually just
dropped a
completely
throughput
slipped my mind
trinket.
that that came from Mecha. I wore that thing for
Yeah.
2 whole patches. It was just like a part of my character.
Yep. Yep. So
The
yeah.
dumbest part of Cyclo is that the blue card that like made you swim faster didn't work.
Oh really?
Yeah,
That's so good. Like the one place you'd want it to work.
yeah,
That's hilarious.
did not work.
That's so good.
Not even
That's
out of
so good.
combat. in the like swimming parts out of combat.
That's so funny. Oh man. So yeah, so definitely a broken item out of here. Do you think they'll do a hard mode?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Have they talked about? I don't know. To be fair, I did not watch BlizzCon on this, so they might
I
have said that.
don't remember.
Yeah.
But I think the hard mode of Mechagon was honestly a huge success. It was super fun to do. We did it with Guildies the first week. I would be. I would. I don't think we'll see another like no deaths. I don't think there's going to be a Hertzlocker kind of thing where you did it on hard mode without dying.
Yeah.
Because that is something where, while I think it was interesting and difficult, it was also very frustrating and led to a lot of bad feels. Where like you just someone died, some random bullshit. Like maybe someone DCs in the middle of a crash pack, and now your 40-minute hard mode run just completely crashed.
Oh, you never did Trial of the Grand Crusader or Nax 40 or sorry,
Yeah,
Nax 25
just how there's a 10-year gap
for the
between
Immortal
that and
runs.
Hertzlocker.
Oh, dude, those I remembered getting like the no death stuff in Nax 25 for like the Immortal. I think that's where that comes from. That's where the Immortal title, I believe,
I
comes
have
from.
no idea. I barely
Yeah,
played Wrath.
it's one of those. But yeah, Wrath was the king of not have having no dying runs. So good. Those are
Yeah,
fun.
I had
It
fun
was
doing
really awesome
Hertzlocker
when you were the
stuff,
one person to
but
die, and then instead of just 4 other people being upset with you, there was 20 or 19 or 24 other people, right? Whatever it was at the
yeah,
point.
24 would
It
have
was
been
great.
25 min rating at that time.
It was awesome.
Awesome.
No, it wasn't. It was terrible. So yeah, so no, I could get down with the no dying. I definitely think there's gonna be a hard mode.
Yeah.
It'll be. I wonder though if it'll end up being triggered. I wonder if this is the one where they go back and it's like click the button like the old deer style or sorry, old war style hard modes
I mean,
where like you trigger them, which would be cool.
how did you trigger it here? You just did it. You did the one that the bot was over. Is that how you did
Yeah,
it?
you did the one that the boss flew over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't trigger it. You basically just followed it around. I don't
Yeah.
think they'll do something similar that way. Hopefully, this one's more of like you get to like click something or like
Also, fuck
activate
those
something.
bots.
Yeah, it was awful. Like, I remember going. I remember doing like Mythic Plus and going to the wrong boss in that instance and be like, "What the is going on here? Why are there so many
Hard mode
bots
Mythic
here?"
Plus.
Yeah. So
Um.
definitely, it should be fun. It seemed like a fun instance. Like the whole like Time Lord pirate dragon thing seemed really cool.
So the last time we had timey wimey dungeon instance was Cataclysm, right?
It was when we went back in time to different points to do things. I don't remember what. There was some lore stuff going on,
Yeah, there was
but
some more the ancient stuff going on. There is the one where we kill it's the dragonflight guy.
no, Nazdorm. No, that's the time dragon.
That's the bronze dragonflight guy. I mean, we killed Nozdormu's infinite dragonflight form, I guess. I think what happened, but I mean, why me think hasn't happened yet.
Get to click the hourglass to rewind it.
Yep, that was fun. That hourglass was fucking cool. Like
It
getting to just
was
like
definitely
bloodlust
cool.
the
Yeah,
whole time.
at level was fun.
Yeah, like going in there and getting to that boss and just being like, okay, we get to spend this entire fight in our cooldowns.
Yeah,
Like that was fun.
that was a good time.
Do you
It was
think we're gonna
not.
see any like huge departures? Like very few bosses have that level of departure from like a typical. You hit your cooldowns, you do your damage, you play your spec, and you
Yeah,
back up. Do you think we're gonna see any huge like that?
no,
No.
no, no. I don't think. Like I feel like Blizzard nowadays saves things like that for smaller raid tiers to test stuff like that
Okay.
versus doing it in dungeons. Because I think the problem nowadays is they have to think about these dungeons as not just 5-man dungeons on their own, but as Mythic plus 5-man dungeons.
Yeah.
So like it's just it's a
But I mean,
it's just a different time.
if it's the last boss. I mean, I
I
guess you
still
can do trash after it, but
I just don't think they. Well, it's not even the trash thing. I think it's just like the idea that like these mechanics just.
Are so dramatically different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. And they just they don't. I think that they don't. I don't know. It's they feel like they don't want to do too much crazy stuff with it now that they have Mythic Plus as like a viable thing. So it's very much
Yeah.
like a.
And okay, so of the two mega dungeons that we've had recently, gotten one per expansion. We got Karazhan in Legion. We got um
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Mechagon in BFA. And I would say Karazhan was a bit more of like, I don't know if old school is the right word. Maybe it's just me being nostalgic for then. But
Yeah.
Mechagon felt like it was more clearly like, this is a Mythic Plus dungeon kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas Karazhan had more stuff like it had the optional boss encounters, had other cool things, just like, which is not to say the Mechagon dungeon was totally devoid of those, but it was not nearly as. Um,
Yeah.
do you think like where do you think this one's gonna fall? They fall.
I think it's gonna be much more Mechagani
Okay, yeah.
than Karazani
I,
in
I think
this
you're
in that
probably
regard.
right. I hope
I
you're
just
wrong, but I think you're right.
yeah, I just don't think the current set of like the way that they design things today is around that sort of exploration, like putting optional bosses in just to do optional bosses. So I think that's the crux of the issue. So
Yeah,
it's just different. It's just different. Um so yeah, any other dungeon fun things?
I am honestly looking to that because I really enjoyed Mechagon and I really
Yeah.
enjoyed Karazhan. Like, Karazhan in high keys, main of virtue. But Karazhan in high key, Karazhan in not high keys was a lot of fun. Um, Karazhan just
Yeah. No, I agree. I think okay, yeah, like I said, I think Mechagon, even though Mechagon was pretty like prescriptive, I enjoyed doing Mechagon, both in Mythic Plus and just doing the dungeon in
yeah,
general. So kind of running around it. So the bots were cool in like the outside area. So it had some fun interesting things. So all right. So now I think into the maybe the meat of the episode, or maybe this one might be even the quickest part of the episode, but class changes. Um any predictions? Like, do you think I guess
Venthyr Covenant ability remade for Monk. That's my number one prediction. That's going
Fenthir
to be
remade?
remade.
Okay. Whew, sorry,
It
I'm
is.
writing this down.
It's just.
So
It's not going to be buffed. It's going to get completely revamped.
okay, wow, okay. That's an interesting take. I don't know if I agree. I
Okay.
don't think I agree. I don't I so and the reason why is I don't I hate to say this and this is going to sound super cynical, but I don't think Blizzard will put that sort of effort into the monk class. Like I just I think yeah, I honestly I don't think they'll do it. I think the best that we can hope for, and this is probably going to be what I look at across the board with this, is going to be like numbers tuning. Like that's I don't think we can
Sad
end
but
up.
true.
I'm sorry.
Sad but true.
Yeah, I don't. So speaking of like Venthir remake, that's a really hopeful thing. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think if anything, we'll get like a tuning on like potentially for those spawns. Those spawns become set for your class, right? Where like
No more random.
certain and no more random, or like if it is random, it's like how nine spawn, right? I don't even know. Is it nine? Whatever the number
A
is,
large number.
like seven are always of a type you care about, and two, or maybe that they just said it. It's like seven are always the type you care about. One is of one opposite
Yeah,
spec, and the
can
other
they
is of
all
another
just
opposite
like
spec.
make the Brewmaster one just give us 7 windwalkers?
Now they're gonna give seven brewmaster bros to just taunt random things. It'll be great. Actually, do they even taunt? Like, what do the actually? That's a good point. What do the brewmaster ones do?
Fire.
No, no, no. Really?
I'm pretty sure they breath of fire.
I
Hang
mean, to
on,
be
I'm
fair,
pulling it
at
up.
least At least the Mistweaver ones heal with enveloping mist, which is like at least a heal. But
um, I'm pulling it up. Oh, what's it even called? Fallen Order?
yes, Fallen Order, yeah.
Breath of Fire. I had it right.
That's
They
crazy.
cast Breath of Fire. Breath of Fire, the ability to dot,
That's so great.
does so little damage.
That's so funny. Sorry. Yeah, that's hilarious. No, I mean, a remake would be hopeful. I just don't think they put the time in. I just don't think they do it. Um,
Okay.
I think to be fair, Venthyr would be if we're speaking about covenants that I would expect them to make changes to, Venthyr is probably the only one that I do. I think the remainder of the covenants from Monk are in general
Yeah, I
even
agree
and
with that.
fine.
I agree with.
Like I don't think I don't think they need to touch Kyrian. I don't think they need to touch Night Fae or what's it, Necro? I literally don't play this game anymore. I don't remember. Uh, but yeah, I think Venthyr, if they're going to touch like make changes to anyone, it's going to be that one, and I think that one is just a numbers from my perspective. But if they do make a remake of it, that would be cool. I just don't. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think there is. I mean, obviously, there's a numbers thing that they could do to make it like somewhat usable. They could buff all of the spawns, cast. They could make them all cast Fist of Fury, and then at
Yeah,
that point, it's basically a bad Ashen Hollow. But bad Ashen Hollow is still pretty useful.
pretty good. That's pretty good. So
Um, so maybe, but yeah,
I just
I think you do have a point.
yeah, I just don't see them doing a rework, which is like which feeds into like from a class perspective, at least for or spec perspective, at least for like Mistweaver, like I don't like I don't expect anything more than adjustments to existing spells, right? Like whether that's spell power increases or mana cost changes, right?
But
Like I
Anam,
doubt
your healing
what
spheres.
I just it's God fuck. All right, here we go. I am going to go out on a limb here and
Okay.
say we will never, and we'll quote this for the rest of the time. We will never get healing spheres
Oh
as a
boy.
spec ever.
That's the
As
episode
long
title now, right?
that's fine.
We will never get healing spheres. So it's searchable. So if everybody if ever anyone searches for Mistweaver healing spheres, it is going to pull up this episode of this podcast from now until the end of time.
I'm fine with that because we're never getting the ability. The ability was trash when it was our mastery, and it's trash today. Like it's just it's bad. But yeah, I mean, I think for like class changes, right? Like at least for Mistweaver, like I don't foresee a rework of any stretch of the imagination because I think the rework that and the only reason I say that is twofold. Number one, again, I don't think this is a patch where Blizzard does that for this class. And the second thing is that any rework I want is really I feel like it's an expansion level type rework. Like
I
needs that
mean,
time.
Mistweaver needs it. Mistweaver needs
Yeah.
it. Mistweaver has needed an expansion level rework since they got an expansion level rework in Legion.
Yeah, which was awful. That was bad. But yeah, I think here we see numbers adjustments. We probably see some additional mana cost reductions on certain spells. I'll go and say that, and probably some adjustments in terms of like spell power coefficients. Maybe maybe a like REM sort of update in terms of like maybe its cooldown starts to be affected by haste. That might be the craziest thing you see.
Oh man. Oh man, imagine if
But
they made Blackout Kick. Ooh.
wait, isn't it?
It's not for Brewmaster.
Oh, for Brewmaster. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. He would just cast it all the time, right?
I mean, we still it's our number one ability in the pro list.
Yeah, so just what else would you hit?
I mean, just right now it has like really awkward things it does because it doesn't scale with haste, but Kick Smash and Rushing Jade Wind do.
Oh, so you get like weird timings.
Get like really awkward timings because you end up with like a 7.2 second cooldown on Kick Smash and like a 6.9 second cooldown on Rushing Jade Wind, and you end up with like because you have any haste at all, they clash with the cooldown of Blackout Kick.
Gotcha. That's funny. Yeah, I don't. That would, I mean, I guess haste for that would be interesting. But any
So
other changes you would see for brews, maybe
here's
potentially? Because
here's a question actually. Before I get to that, do you think that they need to do huge systems changes like they needed to do in BFA?
for in like,
Just like in
oh
BFA,
yeah, system
Azerite
level
being a
changes.
total failure, they needed to do huge systems change. Well, I mean, they needed to just get rid of Azerite and make the classes good. That's what they needed to do. They used, but that's what they needed. Um, do you think they need to do that? That
No,
kind of like
no,
I
I
agree
don't.
with that. I just wanted to see
Yeah, no,
because
I think
I think that's one of the
largely,
reasons that like enhancement or elemental. One of the two was promised a rework in like 8.1 that
yeah.
never materialized. Um, and some of that was because they had to just remake systems. Like they had to adding shit on top. And without the need to do that, I actually think it might open up more room for them to make larger changes to the classes.
Yeah, but so, and here's where like I think potentially like COVID comes into play in terms of like just the slowness in them doing work, right? Like the
I think COVID's a cop out for them.
potentially.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I would
I
say,
sound like awful saying that. It's not like there's definitely I think like the increased stress levels and everything definitely like that slows down work. Like totally 100% that slows down. But like the work from home thing, they've been doing it for over a year now.
yeah, that's true.
If you
And I guess,
can't get your systems together in a year, what are you even doing?
yeah, and I guess this would have been that they would have started 9.1 post them moving home, because
Yes.
like the disruption, like it's more, it's less of like, to me it's more of a disruption in how you work versus like the fact that you're working from home, or that like the stress I think is whatever, like not, well, that sounds really bad, not that it's whatever,
Yeah,
but
but
I think it's now a known quantity of what COVID is, so it's not like you're not stressing about, oh my gosh, what could it be, like what is it, it's a known thing, so I think that stress is at least diminished, right? But yeah, I guess you're right. Like 9.1, this would have been the first full thing they did while at home. All right, fair. Fair. I just don't I again, yeah, systems wise, I think they're fine. Maybe some tweaks like Torghast is fine. Like Azura, or sorry, Covenants end up being fine. Conduits end up being fine as systems, right? They're not broken. They're not
yeah,
just stupid and dumb and should be thrown out the window, right? Because I think
yeah,
they serve a purpose. So yeah, maybe we see large class reworks. Like I just don't think we get that from monks. Like at least from Mistweaver, right? Like I don't
yeah.
know, like Brewmaster and Windwalker.
Honestly, the one I see it most likely for is Mistweaver because Mistweaver is a joke.
Yeah, it's a
It's the butt of
community
the
joke.
Mistweaver is the butt of the joke.
It's and it's sad. Like so this is one of the biggest things I hate. Not that I hate, but that I have struggles with, because like in Discord, I hate being the type of person, and I hate when our Discord gets like this, where it's just negative, where it's like literally like trash spec, trash, they're terrible, there's nothing redeeming about them, blah blah blah. Which there's a part of me that agrees every time someone comes into the Discord and says that, right? There's a part of me that's like, yep, I'm literally there with you. I will do this. But then the other part of me is like, the class isn't that bad. It just is not fun to play. And like to me, that's the bigger issue. Like I swapped to Holy Paladin. Like if Mistweaver gets minor changes, like I'm not swapping back, because to be fair, Holy Paladin's fun. Like the gameplay of like Holy Power and Crusader Strike, and a lot of people hate that are traditional Holy Paladins. I love it, but like that gameplay loop is fun to me. So if Mistweaver doesn't have that, I'll play the class that I find fun. And
Yeah,
I think you're right. Like I think Mistweaver, like this whole like doom and gloom thing, isn't that, to me the doom and gloom isn't that we're underpowered or we can't complete the content. It's just like doom and gloom to me is that it's not fun.
it's
And so like
badly
when someone,
designed. It's like it's badly designed on multiple. Like there's not a mechanical reason to bring Mistweavers.
yeah,
There's not really a fun reason to bring Mistweavers. It's just
no.
like, how whatever way you slice it, there's not really a reason to bring Mistweavers.
Yeah, which is evidenced by like, I mean, the biggest thing that I find hilarious is like the mythic sire kills. So the parses on Warcraft logs. It's absolutely hilarious when you read them,
Do
because
you
it's
have
like,
you do you have updated numbers on that? I'm actually gonna pull it up. I'm pulling it
About
up.
3 weeks ago when I looked, right after 9.0.5 dropped, I looked and there was 250 Mistweaver kills for the final 4 bosses, right?
Yeah.
There was like 1,700 Mythic Sired Anathrius kills for Shaman alone.
So this is number of parses, not number of kills.
Yeah, so parses, which will be multiple
Um,
over a couple weeks.
there are 2,172 Resto Shaman parses, 1,600 Holy Paladin parses, 1,300 Disc Priest parses, 200 Resto Druid parses. Talk
There's
about the cliff.
but is Mistweaver over 50 yet?
No, Holy Priest is now over 50 at 56.
Mistweaver's at
They,
like
they fixed
48.
that bug with Neutralize. I tell you, that's the big thing. And then Mistweaver, 45.
It got one more since I looked a week ago.
It might break 50 before 9.1.
Which is like, and that's literally like
Like
that's
this
not
is
to me.
parses. This isn't even unique. Like this is like the same person can have multiple parses.
It could literally be what are we since 9.05? 4 weeks out, right? There could only be 10 Mistweavers in the world killing Mythic that are at least public logging that are
Yeah,
killing Mythic Sardonathrius, right? Like, and no matter where you slice it, like that can't feel good to Blizzard. Like
yeah,
to me, like, and then again, that's at the highest level, the top level, right? But the idea is like there needs to be some sort of that. And like you'll see that cliff. Like the funny thing is you will see the cliff if you look at each boss because like literally everything up till council you can equate to like us having a smaller population of players that play the class, right? Like
yeah.
that's fine. We're never gonna hit Holy Paladin or Shaman or even Disc Priest numbers of parses, whatever. We're always gonna be lower, but we're gonna be like a proportion lower. As soon as you hit council, it's like low, and then you hit Sludge Fist, it's even worse, and then you hit like Stone Legion and Sire, of course, like it's a literal cliff, like you said. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, I think Mistweaver deserves a huge rework. I just think the rework that I would
Okay.
want them to give is like an inclusion of Chi. It's a rework of the entire class, and
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean, I
think they've
want Chi
done
on
something like this
Progressive.
in a while.
That's like
So
number 2 on my wish list. One is take Celestial Brew off the GCD.
yeah, yeah. Give us Chi. Like, it's so funny they give it to Holy Paladins and not a class.
Literally,
Like,
I was talking with people in Guild about this on Friday. Holy Paladin right now, the Glimmer build of Holy Paladin is just Mistweaver. It's just Mistweaver. Glimmer of
it's very
Light,
slow.
Renewing Mist. Slightly stretching it there. But Holy Power, Chi, they literally are 1 to 5 resources that you stack up by hitting things.
Yep,
They're the same thing.
it's ridiculous. That's why I'm having so much fun.
And it's like this is Holy Paladin Glimmer style healing is just fist weaving. It's just
It's
fist weaving.
literally ridiculous. It's
Do
ridiculous
you, do
how
you
close they
remember
are. So,
way back when they were talking about how Mistweavers would have mana instead of G like the other specs,
yeah.
and they commented that they didn't want to have to balance a healer that basically didn't have mana, that didn't have mana concerns. Um, Meanwhile, these days, Glimmerdin,
Holy Paladin.
it's just yeah okay. Enough about Mistweaver problems. Um,
But I will go on record and say we will not be getting a rework. I
okay,
think
yeah,
it'll be just
I think
minor
that's
updates.
I think
Yeah.
Mistweaver needs more than a rework, a patch
Yeah.
level rework can do. Um, do you think so? If I had, you know, a day to dedicate to fixing Mistweavers, what I would do is I would change Revival. Do you think we will see any changes to Revival?
Ooh. No. No. Because I think like I said, I think there is whatever reason individuals like it's very weird with healers in that like in general healers don't get new things, right? Like Spirit Link has been Spirit Link since they added it. Aura Mastery has been Aura Mastery since Paladins or whatever. And I think it's weird to me, but they seem to with healers have they give them an identity, and they stick to that,
I mean,
right?
healers' major cooldown is in large part their identity,
Yeah, yeah. For
which is
right
why I
runner are
asked
different.
because fundamentally, like if you changed revival, you could have a significant impact on Mistweaver identity without having to rework the whole. It's like it wouldn't be an expansion level rework to address all the problems they have, but it would might make them more palatable. Do you think we'll see any changes to revival? I mean, you already said no.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, what I would like to, I don't think we'll see changes, but what would be interesting to me would be to bring back the Legion artifact trait where revival put a hot on you after it hit.
I didn't know.
Um, what's up?
I didn't know it didn't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, it doesn't do that anymore. Uh, it's just a single hit. But yeah, I think you bring back that, maybe give that slightly more power than it was back then.
Okay.
Um, but yeah. We have a conduit that does that, Abe? No. At least we do have a conduit that does it. Nobody runs that though. But make that baseline. Get rid of that fucking conduit. And make that baseline. Because I think that's what
Um,
it needs. Well, not that that's what it needs, but that's like a minor change that they could incorporate into the spell, make it a little bit more powerful. Don't do any of this stupid stagger BS like the raid stagger thing. Like
yeah, I
it's
mean
dumb.
that's
But
Brewmaster's department.
well, right, like and yeah, I don't know, man. Just bring back Chi.
I mean, honestly, if Mistweavers are handing out like alcoholic tea, we have problems.
Exactly. So,
uh, um,
but
as far as Brewmasters go, the only changes I expect to see are actually just like tank level changes. I expect to see more in the vein of the 10% DR buff that all tanks got recently. I
yeah,
expect to see more of that. Like just like I expect them to see them just like tanks are more powerful now. That's what I expect to see because
yeah,
they gave us the 10%. I want more. Like just
yeah.
straight up, it's not good. Eh, and I don't want it to be like, oh, you can never satisfy, but tanks are way far down the totem pole, and a little 10% DR buff is not fixing that.
And it might.
Like for Blood DK, it actually I think could because Blood DK and Blood DK can Death Strike,
Yeah,
but all of the problems that other tanks have do not get Death Striked away.
it's true.
So I expect to see some more tank buffs, and it's not going to be anything like Brewmaster specific. I don't have any Brewmaster specific predictions. I'm not going to predict that they're taking Celestial Brew off the GCD. I want them to, but I have no faith in them being able to make a good decision about the GCD.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, well, it'll be. I mean, for tanks, for me though, like, yeah, I guess the blanket stuff. I think we'll see more of that. Would you would you want to see a change? Like, would you want to see basically any sort of changes to like maybe because you guys don't? Do you guys have Clash? Like, would you want Clash back?
You have Clash. It doesn't work. I
It
used
doesn't
Clash
work.
on one of the ranged mobs in Castle Nathria last night. You want to know what happened?
What happened?
Nothing. It was
Nothing.
immune.
Huh.
I used it
I
on one
want
of the caster mobs in Castle Nathria. You want to know what happened?
nothing.
I moved halfway to it moved halfway to me, and then it snapped back to its original position. Working as intended.
Okay, so it's broken. Interesting.
Yep, exactly like it was in mob.
Okay. Okay. Just I didn't I to be fair,
I don't
I'd
think they're going to
never
do
have
anything to
played a
Clash.
brewmaster with it, so
I don't think they're going to do
um,
anything to Clash. I think most brewmasters have already resigned themselves to the fact that the ability doesn't work.
yeah, it's
Like you
just
press
dead.
it and maybe it does something, and if it does the thing you wanted it to, great. If it doesn't, it probably didn't kill you.
Gotcha. Interesting. Interesting.
And Windwalkers
Yeah,
have already gotten more changes than they are going to get for the rest of their lifetime. So
it's true. Yeah, windwalkers are yeah. I mean it's funny. The big thing I think with windwalkers is just more bug fixes. Like I think they're just gonna fix they're gonna find and fix more bugs than they have ever found or fixed. I guess that's one question for you. Do you think the Windwalker bug fix extravaganza extends into either Mistweaver or Brewmaster?
The
Yeah.
Brewmaster bug fix extravaganza was actually DFA.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
We had issues that were fixed with Celestial Fortune and with Gift of the Ox. We had an issue at the very beginning of Shadowlands that popped up during Shadowlands beta with how the Hot Shrub effect on Invoked Newsau was implemented. Beyond that, like I'm not actually aware of any like big bugs.
Gotcha.
I mean, Clash obviously doesn't work, but
never has.
never has.
God, if we get healing spheres, man, ugh.
You're gonna get healing spheres, and you know what? They're not gonna work.
Oh, that even if they work, they weren't gonna work. Like it's just.
It's gonna be.
God, I still remember when they put in the fact that like they put in an explode like if a healing sphere was not picked up in its duration of life, it exploded for healing around it. I still remember they put that in and we're like, this is gonna make everything better. No, like it's still trash. Like it's still a trash ability, even if
What
they
was the
explode.
explosion range? Like a yard?
I think it was like 5 yards. It was
Okay.
short too. It was not. I mean, they randomly spawned everywhere, so it was like you couldn't even use them anyway. To be fair, they gave us healing spheres this expansion anyway. It's in the Archon trinket from
Is that
Spires.
what those orbs are? I keep seeing pop up.
Yeah, those blue orbs. You pick them up, you get like I think they heal and give verse or something like that. I don't
Oh
know.
my god! I keep
That
seeing those
trinket
pop up. I'm
artifacts.
like, what are these? I don't have weapons of order up. What are? Because they look like the Pelagos orbs.
They do, yeah, yeah. So they gave it to us in a fucking 5-man trinket. God damn.
That's imagine having your entire like this is the thing you're getting back, Mistweavers. Oops, you didn't get it, but also it's on the trinket.
It was just a slap. As soon as I saw that trinket, slap in the face. Slap in the face. Cool. All right. I think I have a pretty. So I wrote on my desk all of our predictions. Actually, that's what I'm doing. We
Nice.
got a
Yeah,
pretty big list
you
here.
have a like whiteboard desk, right?
I do. Yeah, my desk
Yeah.
is like the top. It's a whiteboard. So I've been writing down my predictions. I'll take a picture of it. I can send it to you. My computer. Well, I can send it to my phone. I don't care about my computer. But yeah. So I have all of our predictions in my shitty handwriting, and
Nice.
we'll check them off the list. Probably retype these and
No,
put
no,
them
no.
somewhere.
We're gonna have this. We're gonna have this image with your beautiful handwriting pulled up on stream next week.
Please God no. I have to actually. Then I have to move some work notes. So you don't see those. But yeah, any other prediction? Any other big predictions?
No,
Dude, I love. By the way, I love our Anduin prediction. I love it.
it's honestly, I think the one that is best. That is the best prediction.
I think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna
I
happen.
think you're
So
right. I think you're exactly right. It is going to happen, and
it'll
that
be interesting.
know how I
Um,
feel about that.
yeah, this fucking Sylvanas just needs to die. Awesome. All right. So if there's nothing else, I think that's our little patch prediction thing. Like I said, I'll get this typed up. We'll have this for next week in terms of what we think. Maybe we'll just post the image and I'll be lazy. You guys can try to decipher my handwriting. But yeah, I think that about wraps it for this episode. But of course, we're heading to
Q&A.
Q&A, my favorite time. So, as always, you can send your questions in to Emallson or myself, and we will answer most of them on air. We're starting to get a couple weird ones. Maybe I was a little too open by saying we'll answer anything. So
There are
just
definitely limits to that. I've
yeah,
seen
we
some of
found our
them.
limits.
We found our limits.
Shout out to Blazeroo for finding our limits. So yeah, so this week our question comes from the one, the only Soji, who continues to want to delete SEF. And they ask,
Blame them.
what's your favorite childhood? Oh, God, excuse me. All right, what's your favorite childhood food? Basically, maybe something as a kid, a little bit nostalgic about it. I guess Emmelson, do you have a favorite childhood food that brings back sweet, sweet memories?
Like pretty much everything that I ate as a kid, I still eat. So there's not anything really like explicitly tied to my childhood. And it's not like we just like we didn't get stuff like charms or any cereals like that, and there wasn't any like ate regular food. The only thing,
Yeah.
the thing that comes to mind is actually hot dogs. And that's because I don't really eat hot dogs anymore. And it's just like a somewhat a product of my life situation for the past few years. Namely that I was in Florida, and Florida's fucking hot, and I'm not going out in the summer and eating hot dogs in the park in 90-degree human ass weather. It's not happening.
It's beautiful.
Um, but I that's the one because like as you might have been able to tell, we used to go and like it wasn't necessarily in the park, but like in the backyard at the neighbors, have a cookout,
Yeah.
dogs. So that might be it.
Yeah. So I actually have two
Okay.
actually. So my first one is pancakes.
Okay.
And it's because we used to do every it was either every like Saturday, not Saturday morning, it was every like Sunday for brunch or like every other Sunday we go to my grandparents and my grandmom would always make pancakes,
Okay.
but would always make them in a shape. And so every week she'd be
Oh.
like, "What do you want your pancakes?" And we'd be like, "We want this or that." And like it was really fun.
Did you
I
ever
enjoyed the
ask her to
shapes.
make you a Star Destroyer shaped pancake?
No, so like it got to the point when like we would get older, like when me and my cousins were older, we'd be when we were like teenagers or whatever, we'd ask my grandma for like really hard things to make because we were a-holes about it. So we'd be like, I'd like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or can you make the Mona Lisa? Like we'd just be idiots about it. But when we were kids, it was fun because it was like Mickey Mouse ears or like a dinosaur, and then like she'd be like, "Rah, here comes a dinosaur," and like bring you your plate. There'd be like butter and syrup on it. Anyway, super nostalgic about pancakes.
Okay.
I still love
Yeah.
pancakes to this day. Um, but yeah, that's why. Like, I will go any diner I go to, I will literally order pancakes no matter what
Fuck, I
time of
want
day it
pancake.
is.
Maybe I'm gonna go to the store after this. Maybe I pick up the pancake mix.
Dude, pancakes are good. So yeah, so pancakes is the first one, and the second one is hamburger helper.
Okay.
And hamburger helper is so it's funny to me because like growing up, I ate hamburger helper a lot. If you guys don't know what it
I
is, it's sort of like
actually had totally forgotten about that, but I know exactly everything that you're about to say.
yeah. So hamburger helper was like the meal that my dad would cook us because my dad, like if my mom was out or my mom wasn't cooking dinner, my dad would cook us hamburger helper because it's literally like ground beef in a bowl, you brown it, and then you pour all the packet and noodles and stuff on top of it, and it's one pan. It makes your hamburger helper. Um, but so that's like it was always like the meal my dad made us. But the funny thing is that when I met my wife, there's this story where she's like, we ate hamburger helper once at my house. Like she came over to eat, and I was like, my dad's cooking dinner, so we're having hamburger helper. It's a joke. He always makes it. I was like, older at the time, but it was still funny. Anyway, she was like, she's like, I hate hamburger helper. I'm like, first of all, who hates hamburger helper? And second of all, why? So she tells the story
It's
about like
bland.
she's like we used to eat it all the time. It was like
Okay.
there was just like we ate it forever. Like we have to make it all this stuff. I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. The funny thing is, years later, I find out the reason she hates it was because one week she had to spend at her parents'. They have a house at the Jersey Shore. At her house at the Jersey Shore, which is her and her cousins, and they had to make their own dinners, and it was hamburger helper. So she literally had hamburger helper for a week, not even for maybe like 3 meals, and like she like hates it. I'm like you were literally overreacting about nothing.
No, okay, so
So that's my
hamburger
hamburger helper.
helper is actually like super bland.
That's the other thing. It's like it tastes like literally ground beef.
Yeah.
There's literally 30 flavors of hamburger helper. They all taste the same. Like I would agree.
Yeah. Like I had some like I understand 100% that story about dad's cooking. Like
Yeah.
um and like my mom cooked it from time to time when it was just like too much stuff happening, not enough time to actually make food. And like uh, it has a place. It's definitely like it's sure as hell better than nothing.
Yeah.
But it's very, very bland, and I did not remember that until I had some as an adult, and I was like, "Holy shit! This
Beef
just
stroganoff.
tastes like ground beef with noodles on it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this isn't even like shitty packaged ramen flavor packet kind of stuff.
No.
It's just ground beef, salt, and pepper."
That's good. That's hilarious. But yeah, I would say that pancakes are probably my favorite food for my kid. I still love pancakes to this day. Like, oh my God. I just want butter.
You know
So
what? Okay,
now
on that note, I had waffles. Uh,
oh,
Similar note, and I don't have them just because I don't have a waffle iron. So like it's kind of hard to make waffles without a waffle iron.
It is.
But it's not like I don't have them anymore because like Christmas 2 years ago, Mom made a huge batch of waffles, and she made like raspberry waffles and chocolate chip waffles. Or
That's
sorry, not
amazing.
raspberry, blueberry, but like, and then plain waffles and almond waffles, like loads of waffles.
That's awesome, dude. So the funny is, we never had a waffle iron growing up, so I never got to like our thing was always pancakes,
Yeah,
like pancakes and sort of like pancakes and scrapple were big. I don't know if you have you ever had scrapple?
I've never heard of Scrapple.
So what? Okay, so
Is that a
scrapple,
Jersey thing?
uh, it is a Jersey thing. It's essentially so it's gonna sound really. It's basically at a meat packing plant at the end
Oh
when
boy,
they
I
don't know what
already
to
like how
do
this is going.
with the rest of it. They take the rest of what didn't go in anything else and they package it in like a little log, and like that's scrapple. Like it's literally like the leftover everything that's like
I thought that
somewhat
was
still
hot
edible.
dogs.
What?
I thought that was hot dogs.
Oh, it's what's left. It's what's left after the hot dogs.
Oh shit.
It's like bottom of the barrel, but it's like in this like it looks like it almost looks like a loaf of like a if you ever get like mozzarella cheese in like the log, it looks kind of like that, only like a thicker consistency. And you
What the
just slice it
fuck?
up, and then you slice it up like pieces of bread, and then you put in a skillet and like I don't know, heat it up. It's if you ever have the chance to eat scrapple, it's super salty, so it's actually not too like I don't know. It kind of tastes like meat, but like salty meat. It's like grilled, put on sandwiches.
It
I don't
sounds
breakfast sandwiches.
disgusting. Holy shit.
It's good. It's Scrabble.
I just
Scrabble's
can't get
good.
over the fact that it's the stuff that's left over after hot dogs.
Yeah, it's just literally whatever. Like it's like they're like they made everything in the meat packing plant that day. It's somewhat still edible. We'll just sell this to people in Jersey. Like I think that's how. Like I don't
I
know.
mean, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense why it exists, but also it blows my mind.
It's so good. It's so good. I forget. I think it's called Taylor. Like if you've had Taylor ham, I think is the other name for it. Like Scrapple is very much like the
I have
Jersey
not
name
had
for it.
that.
But yeah, Scrapple. It's delicious. Maybe that's my favorite childhood food. I actually just had Scrapple today. But it's fine. My kids love it too. It's crazy. But yeah,
That is very interesting. Oh, I am not hungry anymore.
I too, I might actually go get some. We still have some in the fridge. Just go
Oh,
put it in the microwave, heat it up.
god damn. Okay, we're gonna end this episode now. Thank you all for listening. This has been the 63rd episode of the Peak of Serenity podcast. As always, we appreciate you coming and hanging out in Twitch chat or listening to the audio version. If you enjoy this podcast, you can support us over on our Patreon at patreon.com/Peak of Serenity. And you can also, if you don't want to contribute financially or you can't contribute financially, you can come and say hi in Discord. We love it. Come say hi. Come hang out in one of the lounge channels. It is a good time, and Brew Lounge is the best lounge, and don't let Anam tell you otherwise. Anyway,
No,
thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week with actual 9.1 news and how our predictions.
I'm so excited for our board.
It's gonna be great. All right, goodbye.
Bye.